I'm Claire Shaeffer. I write sewing books and collect vintage fashions. This video focuses on an evening gown from the mid-1880s by Charles Frederick Worth. Worth and Manbouchet is an innovative online exhibition on the website of the Museum of the City of New York. It focuses on the designs of Charles Frederick Worth and Manbouchet, née Main Rousseau Boucher. Curated by Phyllis Magison, the exhibition features 119 designs from the museum's collection. Perhaps the most exciting element is you can watch this exhibition online anytime you want. I have many favorites and hope to show you others another day. The dress was given to the museum by Mrs. Philip W. Livermore. It had been worn by her mother. Several years ago, I worked as a construction consultant on this exhibition. Designed by Worth, this gown is from the mid-1880s. Today we'll focus on the dress, its design, the fabric, and some construction details. Another day, we can focus on Worth and his contributions to fashion. The dress is fabricated in scarlet damask, deep red satin, and antique bobbin lace. The separate bodice and skirt are an example of Worth's innovative use of modular components. The dress features several Worth signatures: an asymmetrical design, selvage used as a trim, a double row of piping to finish the bodice hem, and antique lace. The bodice is secured with a deep busk and lace-up back. The back neck is trimmed with a pleated damask drape. The skirt is gathered over a bustle with inside ties to hold the shape. The floor-length gown has a short train. You can see the details of the bodice here. The silk damask bodice is trimmed with pleated satin at the décolletage. The diamond-shaped satin panel extends from the bust to the deep point at the center to create a stomacher effect and accentuate the slim figure of the wearer. The waist edge is trimmed with a narrow double piping. This finish is often used on the Worth bodices. The right shoulder is finished with a satin knot and lace. Red ostrich feathers are applied to the left shoulder with ecru lace and satin at the underarm. This detail shows the satin bow and lace on the right shoulder. The damask drape on the back is pleated to the shoulders with a deep V at the neckline. The center back is boned and extends to a deep V. The lace-up closure has a hand-embroidered eyelets. The dress is stored in a large acid-free box lined with acid-free tissue. Additional rolls and balls of tissue are used to support the bodice to prevent wrinkles and creases. The asymmetrical front features a dark red satin panel at the center. The right shoulder is trimmed with a large satin bow and lace. The left shoulder is trimmed with ostrich feathers and finished with lace and satin under the arm. The satin band on the right shoulder was first finished, then sewn in place. There is a large pleat at the underarm to reduce the band's length to make it fit the armhole. There is a similar pleat at the underarm on the left. Here you can see the satin pleat easily, and when you look closely, you can see a second pleat on the damask. Red ostrich feathers trim the left shoulder with satin and lace at the underarm. Notice the pleat on the satin and damask. Worth frequently used this double piping trim. The satin piping is much easier to see on the edges of the damask than on the edges of the point. The first piping has a narrow seam allowance, so it will be hidden between the second piping and the bodice. The second, or lower piping, has a wide seam allowance. It wraps to the wrong side to face and finish the edge. The back drape was lined and sewn to the neck on the right back. Since there is no fastener on the left, the drape would have been fastened with a jeweled pin or sewn in place by a lady's maid. The drape has been turned back so you can see the lining and the hand-finished seams at the edges. This technique is frequently used on couture garments today at necklines, pockets, and collars. The bodice is completely backed or underlined with plain weave silk so that the structural seams and stays are visible. There is no lining. This structure continues to be used in dressmaking workrooms today. The center front seam has wide seam allowances, and the selvages have been left on the seams because, according to Worth, the selvages show the quality of the fabric. The museum accession tape indicates that the gown was given to the museum in 1941. Narrow silk ribbons encased the baleen stays. The ribbons for the stays were sewn by hand with small stitches. The seams were pressed open and clipped to lie flat. The corners were trimmed to reduce curling, and the edges were overcast by hand. The double piping finishes the lower edge of the bodice. These details show the piping on the point and how it was finished on the wrong side. The pipings were sewn by hand with short running stitches. The Petersham stay, with the Worth logo printed on it, anchors the bodice at the waist. Cross stitches were used to sew the stay to the silk casings. A lightweight. The edges of the back were finished with a self fabric binding, and the eyelets were finished with hand overcasting. Here you can see the right shoulder inside the bodice. The satin band was sewn into the armhole with running stitches, and the edges of the armhole are overcast. Covered millinery wire was sewn to the lace so it would stand up. The damask band is pleated at the underarm to control the excess length. Inside the bodice, the construction details on the left shoulder are similar to those on the right. The band is sewn in with running stitches near the underarm and back stitches approaching the shoulder. The seams are overcast by hand. To the untrained eye, it looks like the garment was unfinished on the inside. A lightweight silk braid was used at the neckline to face the edge and create a casing. Then a second braid was threaded through the casing. When the dress was worn, the second braid was tied at the center back neckline. The skirt has lace panels over the satin at the front and sides with an asymmetrical damask overskirt draped over the lace and gathered at the knee. The overskirt is held in place with ostrich feathers and a satin ribbon. The skirt was designed to showcase the bobbin lace. An attractive selvage on the silk jacquard is visible at the edge of the drape. A wide moire ribbon was sewn to the wrong side of the damask with long running stitches to give the edge extra body. At the knee, the ostrich feathers almost obscure the elegant satin knot. The antique lace underskirt has been skillfully manipulated and shaped to showcase the lace pattern. The tapes help to shape the drape of the train. Designed to protect the skirt from the dirt on the street, the dust ruffle was sewn to the wrong side of the skirt back. Look carefully and you can see a white stripe on the selvage of the skirt. Even though the skirt was not pressed, after I removed it from the box, there are very few wrinkles. This is typical of high-quality silks. This waist finish is typical of the Worth gowns. There are hanker loops at the sides. The skirt waist was finished with a Petersham ribbon sewn on with running stitches. Petersham ribbon was called grosgrain in the U.S. until the early 1970s, when polyester grosgrains were first manufactured. The hand-sewn seams on the skirt were finished with overcasting. Here you can see the dress displayed in the Gilded Age Gallery at the Museum of the City of New York. Here is one last look at this stunning gown. I'm Claire Shaeffer. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please hit subscribe. I look forward to seeing you again.